Howdy, howdy. We back again, and I'm trying a new phone standy thing to hopefully keep it in place better. But found the book I was hunting for, found the chapter I was hunting for. Now I can finally give proper credit to the individual and why I think the way I think a lot of the ways. Forgive, and this is going to have a few trigger warnings on it. These are war crimes we're going to be discussing from Vietnam and a few other eras. But let me just find where I left it off at, because it's later on in the book. And we will be reading, I'm going to read the entire section. And hopefully Penguin won't just bust it off in my ass for it. But this is page 652 of Behave by Robert Sapolsky. This book was released in... Give me a moment. Gotta find the proper page. And the actual title is Behave, The Biology of Humans at Our Best and Worst by Robert M. Sapolsky by Penguin Audiobook. Well, by Penguin Books. This is my own little audiobook sort of thing. And it was copyrighted in 2017. So, a little bit out of date, but still a really good book if you get the chance to read it. There's a reason that this is more or less like my Bible. Because between this, A Primate's Memoir, Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers, and a few other books that he's done, it really does tell you a lot about the human mind. And no, he, much like myself, is very much anti-God thought things. We do good and bad things based on what we do. But, page 652, Behave, the chapter, or the part of the title is One Person. And I'm just going to read, much like people reading excerpts from the Bible, the entire one-person narrative, which will go to right here. The potential of collective power. So if you all will turn to your pages in your copy, I know you have one, of Robert Sapolsky's Behave. One person. Somewhere between neurons and hormones and genes on one hand and culture, ecological influences and evolution on the other, sits the individual. And with more than 7 billion of us, it's easy to feel that no single individual can make much of a difference. But we know that's not true. There's the obligatory list of those who changed everything. Mandela, Gandhi, MLK, Rosa Parks, Lincoln, Aung San Suu Kyi. Yes, they often had scales of advisors, but they were the catalysts. The ones who paid with their freedom or their lives. And there are whistleblowers, remember, released in 2017, so they didn't realize Gandhi's bad side yet. And Rosa Parks was still the single, as most white people, the single person who would not move on the bus. She wasn't trained, she wasn't, that nobody does anything fully alone. But these are the people that we put up there as the headlines of they did it on their own. For example, Martin Luther King did it on his own, but had a lot of people around him that also helped carry that message. And honestly, if they had pushed harder when the FBI killed him, I'm not making that judgment call, It's not my place to judge that one. Because honestly, I got the wrong melanin coat for that. And to be quite honest, I get tired of people bringing up Martin Luther King like he's the Jesus of our era. He was an amazing man. He did amazing things. I am in no way discrediting anything he ever did because he was a great man of our time. But, Malcolm X was right there too, as were a few others. And everyone always takes Martin Luther King and only takes the peaceful quotes. And I think we should go with peace. But remember, Martin Luther King also said the riot is the language of the unheard. Either way, I get distracted easy. 2017 is when this book was written. And now we're getting back to their words. Let's see, their lives. And there are whistleblowers who took great risks to trigger change. Daniel Ellsberg, Karen Silkwood, W. Mark Felt, Watergate's Deep Throat, Samuel Province, the U.S. soldier who revealed the abusers at Abu Ghraib. One moment. The U.S. soldier who revealed the abuses at Abu Ghraib prison. And Edward Snowden. Little thing on Edward Snowden here, so I'm going to go down and read it right now. Yes, I know this isn't necessarily everyone's list, but the point is the singularity, rather than the specificities of the acts. For those who are uninitiated, Edward Snowden was the very first person who actually said it, taking it out of the realm of, oh, well, your device is listening to you, to, No, I worked at the CIA. Your device is listening to you. Here's all the reports on which I had to write up listening in on y'all's devices. And now Edward Snowden, last I checked, is still living in Russia because the CIA wants him dead. Just for saying something that we all already knew on a surface level, but when a professional comes, it's like, man, I think I'm sick. When a doctor comes up, yeah, that's laryngitis. You need to go get checked out. Suddenly it gets a lot more real than just, I think I'm sick. You know what I mean? Acting, by the way, I'm okay. But going back up, but there are also lesser known people acting alone or in small numbers with extraordinary impact. Take Mohammed Bouazizi, Bouazizi, B-O-U-A-Z-I-Z-I, Bouazizi, a 26-year-old fruit seller in Tanzania, then in its 23rd year of corrupt and regressive rule by a dictator. At the market, the police hassled Bouazizi about the imaginary permit, expecting a bribe. He refused, not out of principle. He had often bribed, but because he lacked the money. He was kicked and spat upon, his fruit cart overturned, his complaint at the government office was ignored, and within an hour of being preyed upon by the police on December 10, 2010, Bouazizi stood in front of that office, doused himself in gasoline, shouted, "How do you expect me to make a living?" and set himself on fire. Sorry, I've got a boy that's undercutting Bouazizi's sacrifice. Give me just a second. Come here, boy. Say hi to the camera. Okay. Sorry about that. He wanted up and he wasn't going to take no for an answer. Bouazizi's immolation and death triggered protests in Tanzania against the leader Zine El Abid bin Ali. Zine, I think, and we're going to spell it out too, but Zine El Abidine bin Ali. Z-I-N-E, capital E-L, A-B-I-D-I-N-E, bin, B-E-N-A-L-I, Ali. Against his ruling party, against the police, the protesters grew, and within a month, the government and bin Ali were overthrown. Bouazizi's act led to protests in Egypt, toppling Hosni Mubarak's 30-year dictatorship. Likewise in Yemen, ending Ali Abdul Saleh's 34-year rule. And if I'm butchering these names, I am sorry I'm sorry to anyone whose name I'm butchering that deserves the name butchering. If you're a dictator, get fucked. I don't care if I butcher your name, you're a piece of shit. But Bouazizi, for example, I really hope I'm saying his name correctly, because he was a good fellow and did not deserve to die in the way that he had to die to push that system into its moving forward properly. Let's see. Likewise in Yemen, ending and in Libya, leading to the overthrow and killing of Muammar Gaddafi. I did not say his first name right, but Gaddafi I know I got right. After 43 years in power, and in Syria, where protests morphed into civil war, and in Jordan, Oman, Kuwait, leading to the resignation of their prime ministers, and in Algeria, Iraq, Bahrain, Morocco, and Saudi Arabia, producing semblances of governmental reform. The Arab Springs. Bouazizi wasn't thinking about political reform in the Muslim world when he lit the match. Instead, there was a rage, with nowhere to go but inward. Make what you will of the Arab Spring's brief hopefulness, followed by the new strongmen, violence, refugees, and catastrophe of Syria and ISIS, and perhaps history makes the self-immolator as much the self-immolator makes history. Regional discontent had long been brewing. Regardless, Bouazizi's singular act catalyzed millions in 20 countries to decide that they could cause change. There have been other singular acts. In the mid-1980s, a commemoration was being held at the Pearl Harbor Memorial on the anniversary of the attack. A group of survivors who had gathered were approached by an elderly man. This was his third trip to the memorial, trying to work up his nerve. He approached the survivors and in halting English apologized. The man, Zenji Abe, was a fighter pilot in 1937's Japanese invasion of China, and throughout the Pacific World War II, including helping to lead the attack on Pearl Harbor. Little in his earlier life predicted Abe's apologizing as an old man. His inculcation into the war started early, when he joined a military academy as a 7th grader. His experience of war was detached. He never killed an American soldier at close quarters. The Pearl Harbor attack felt like a training exercise. His sense of responsibility could readily have been blunted, as the bomb he dropped hadn't detonated, and his country had been defeated. Some things favored Abe's gesture. He had been captured and spent a year as a POW, treated decently by Americans, and he felt shame about the attack. Pilots had been told that the war against America had been declared that morning, that American defenses would be ready. He soon learned that instead it was a sneak attack. Funny, I guess, but I used to have this argument a lot in high school because back then we had the war in Iraq, but nobody really knew all the nitty-gritty, dirty details of Operation Enduring Freedom, or the fact that we were torturing prisoners of war at Abu Ghraib, or the fact that we were murdering civilians seemingly for no fucking good reason. We didn't know about all that. To us, they bombed us in America. But we did discuss a lot about World War II and things, and I often would argue in defense of Japan. Now, what they did to China was unacceptable, unforgivable. Look it up if you got a strong stomach and you're not scared of really, really bad facts. By that I mean good information, solid history gathering. What we're going to read in the next chapter about what America did in Vietnam, or not next chapter, but the next passage, is going to seem like lightweight kid Boy Scout shit compared to what the Japanese did to the Chinese during World War II. Not to excuse anyone's actions, by the way. What we're reading about here is humanity at its worst and best. We'll cover best later. But, like I said, right now I'm still trying to figure out how to do this in such a way that I can give y'all this entire book without stealing it and without upsetting the penguin. But still. The point, I got on a tangent. The point was that I would often argue, but due to Japanese honor culture and the way the samurai, the whole honor thing, is it made no sense that they would have just sneak attacked us, considering that in their culture, that was, unless you just didn't do that. It'd be like an American giving away something with no hope of getting something back in return. It's rare to the point of, well, that just didn't make sense. But still, I would argue then that the soldiers didn't know that they were doing a sneak attack. To their knowledge, and according to their advisor, they had already warned America months in advance that an attack was coming, it was going to be a harbor, and then the night before, supposedly, they had been warned. And if you look at the history, that one I'm going to have to send you into the obscure history lessons to find. I believe that they had been warned, but because the message came in Japanese, it had not yet been translated to English by the time Pearl Harbor happened. And we got the memo, but we didn't get the memo. Didn't hit as hard and wouldn't have drug America into fighting in World War II like those bastards. So, of course, we made some shit up to get Americans to kill folks for us. Hey, if that bothers you, I would highly suggest cutting the video off here and never looking at any history that PragerU doesn't give you. Because America has never done an honorable thing when it comes to war. We do horrible, terrible, unexcusable things, and then we pretend like we're saving the world and giving freedom out. I would ask to go to any place that we gave freedom to and see if they're doing any better today than when we freed them. And that's not to say that America is just the worst place on earth, though I feel that way because I've been trapped here my entire life and can't get anywhere else. But, be your own judge on that one. If you've had the chance to travel, you're doing better than most Americans. But some things favored Abe's gesture. Some larger factors favored his gesture as well. Japanese-American relations had transformed, and Americans were not traditional enemies. The racial, cultural, and geographic distance might have facilitated pseudo-speciation. This word tripped me up earlier too. Pseudo-speciation of Americans. For those of you who did not recognize the word, pseudo-speciation is basically the Japanese did not see the Chinese as human. They saw them as a lesser life form. Similarly, the Americans, when we first entered into the war, did not see the Japanese as human as us. They were an insect-like race compared to us, the superior. You know what I mean? It's racism. It's stupid shit. If you really need an example of it, go look up Looney Tunes from the 1930s. They weren't just making jokes. That's how they felt about the people. And that's why racism is stupid. And when someone is trying to tell you that racism is just, haha, funny, point out how fucking stupid they're being. Because it's fucking stupid. We have ethnicities, but truth be told, if we were to rip our flesh off, we are all the same meat and skeletons beneath. Tiny, tiny differences, but not big. Nothing to call ourselves other races about. Ethnicities, yes. Races, the last non-Homo sapien was Neanderthalis. And we kind of mixed with them, thankfully. But these likelihoods and unlikelihoods converged, and Abe stood there along with 9 other pilots who had flown that day, apologizing. Some survivors refused the overture. Most accepted it. Abe and other pilots made subsequent trips to Pearl Harbor and had multi-day meetings with American survivors. Reconciliative handshakes were broadcast on the Today Show for the 15th anniversary. Survivors generally considered the pilots to have just been following orders and found their current actions brave and admirable. Abe became close with one survivor, Richard Fisk. The Kingpin? Richard Fisk, a dossier at the memorial. Fisk had been on one of the ships during the attack, lost many friends among the 2,390 Americans killed. Fought at Iwo Jima, described himself as so hating the Japanese that he developed a bleeding ulcer. For reasons he never fully understood, Fisk was the first to accept Abe's gesture. Other Japanese and Americans became close as well, visiting the homes and eventually the grave sites of their ex-enemies. The process was rich in symbols, starting with an apology that we've seen changes nothing and everything. Abe gave Fisk money so that for the rest of his life, Fisk placed flowers monthly at the memorial. Fisk, a bugler, took to playing not only taps at the bugler. Keep saying that wrong. He was a bugler. He played the trumpet. Fisk, a bugler, took to playing not only taps at the memorial, but the Japanese equivalent as well. Some semblance of usness had emerged that included everyone there that infamous day. Perhaps most important, Abe's singular act isn't singular. There are now travel agencies specializing in serving American Vietnam War vets returning to Vietnam for reconciliation ceremonies with ex-Viet Cong veterans. Veterans have spearheaded organizations such as Friends of Da Nang, doing service projects in Vietnam, building schools, clinics, and literal buildings. Again, this is from 2017. I hope these efforts are still going on well. This picture segues into another extraordinary act, arguably the single most shocking event in the Vietnam War, an atrocity that finally shook the American self-perception as a force for good. This one's going to be a little bit hard, and I will warn you, I get a little bit emotional because this one, y'all, not fucking around, you might want to skip. This is going to be rough to hear and to read, so lock in if you're locking in. Otherwise, skip maybe, I'd say, 10-20 minutes. Because it's going to be... can't show you the picture. Here's a nicer picture. That's Abe next to his plane. That's Abe and the person who was a bugler who played both the Japanese equivalency as well as the American version of taps. This picture I can show you. The picture on the next page I cannot show you due to TOS. So... and it's about 2 pages worth. I will show you the picture following that one up, because I can. But this one I can't, and it is quite frankly hard to look at, so consider yourselves lucky you were spared. Shefu, if you want up here, I'll pick you up, but let's make it quick. 1 second, friends. Come here, buddy. Every time I get him up here, he jumps back down after a minute. Yeah, I think you can just feel that my whatever things are rising up, because this is... okay, y'all. Like I said, if you really... last chance... On March 16, 1968, a company of American soldiers under the command of Lieutenant William Calley Jr. attacked the unarmed civilians of the village of My Lai. The company had been in Vietnam all of 3 months and had had no direct enemy contact. They had, however, suffered 28 deaths or injuries due to booby traps and mines, reducing the company's number to around 100. The common interpretation, one that we readily recognize by now, is that they had a fierce, vengeful desire to connect faces to this faceless enemy. Pausing for a minute, because I'm probably going to pause a few times. That's also why we should not set booby traps. Because if you do, and most of them do successfully kill your enemies, Vietnam is one of the great examples of very good guerrilla warfare. It also tends to make them extra spicy when they find your civilians, and arguably for the government, that's a great thing, because what they did here is what, and having it put on the television to where Americans could see it, is what broke the American spirit. It's also why when we want to bitch about the modern day versus the older era, I'll remind you, when they showed what was going on here, America rallied against it. And yeah, it's not as comparable to what Israel's doing to Gaza, but it is bad. But here we go. Okay. The official rationale was that the village harbored Viet Cong fighters and civilian sympathizers. Some of the participants reported being instructed to kill only Viet Cong fighters. Others, that they should kill everyone, burn houses, kill livestock, and destroy wells. Regardless of these conflicting reports, the rest, as they say, is agonizing history. Between 350 and 500 unarmed civilians, including infants and elderly people, were killed. Bodies were mutilated and dumped down wells. Huts and fields set ablaze. Numerous women gang raped before being killed. Calley was described to have personally shot children under their mothers, who had died sheltering them. I'm going to repeat that one to let it sink in, because we will also cover what happened in the aftermath. But between 350 and 500 unarmed civilians, including infants and elderly people, were killed. Calley was described as to have personally shot children hidden under their mothers who had died sheltering them. The Americans encountered no enemy fire, found no military-aged men. It was destruction of biblical proportions, or Roman proportions, or Crusader, or Viking, or this destruction was photographed. That's on the page in front of me here. I'm not going to show it to YouTube because no. Just no. I don't think I can by TOS standards. It was photographed. The horror is worsened because My Lai was not a solitary atrocity, and the government labored to conceal events and slapped Calley on the wrist. Now remember this, y'all, because we're about to, again, cover what he actually got punished with. But what he's being punished for is orchestrating the murder of between 350 and 500 unarmed civilians. We do not have an exact number because the bodies were so damaged and destroyed in the process. He dumped bodies down wells. He raped women and organized gang rapes of women. For these unmitigated crimes against humanity, what did our military boy get? A slap on the wrist, sentencing him to 3 years of house arrest. That was it. 3 years house arrest. 3 years wearing a little ankle monitor. There was by no means universal participation by Americans. Ultimately, 26 soldiers were criminally charged, with Calley the only one convicted. Remember that now. Because again, yeah, we charged our soldiers, and we let them skip on by. But sometimes justice takes a different turn, and we'll get into that in a moment. But first, just following orders was the order of the day. Now, we got a pause here, and we got an excerpt down below to read. 2 who participated in the killings eventually committed suicide. Good. 1 Lieutenant Stephen Brooks did so for an unknown reason while in Vietnam. Hopefully all the children that he murdered came to him. The other, PFC Bernardo Simpson, did so years later. Now this one, I kind of got mixed feelings on, because I don't think the dude's son had that coming, but After, among other things, seeing his 10-year-old son killed by a stray bullet fired by neighborhood teens. Again, y'all, you can thank your military stipends and all that to make sure that this veteran who committed war crimes was not in a safe place, but in a gang-banging neighborhood, as they say. He said he died in my arms, and when I looked at him, his face was like the same face of that child that I had killed. And I said, this is the punishment for killing the people I killed. He suffered from severe PTSD. Again, I do not think all soldiers deserve that. But if you did this shit, fuck yes you do. I do not feel bad for him. Do not feel bad for this piece of shit. Feel bad for his son, because no, that was not a message from God, you douche. You just did something fucking unspeakable. And your mind needs to make a reason for it, because otherwise you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, you are a monster. Sequestered himself to his home, with windows shuttered for years. Not long enough. And succeeded on his 3rd successful attempt. Too bad it wasn't his 5th. No, y'all. I got no fucking sympathy for fucking war criminals. Fuck them. And if you do, good for you, sunshine. I like to save my sympathy for those who fucking deserve it. I've read this chapter like 1,000 times in reading this particular book. This is the first time I've read it without crying, and I think it's because I'm being recorded that I'm not crying right now. I'm just angry. Mostly because we're doing it again. We're just doing it in Iran this time. But either way, that was the excerpt. At least 2 of them had to actually fucking pay for their crimes. I hope that didn't pick up the picture. But, back to it. Individual thresholds varied. One soldier killed a mother and a child and then refused to do more. Another helped herd civilians together but refused to fire. Some refused orders outright. Those are the ones who we should respect. Those are the real ones. I hope none of them had PTSD, though I'm positive they did. Some refused orders outright, even in the face of threats and court-martial or being shot. One PFC, Michael Bernhardt, refused and threatened to report events to superior officers. Subsequently placed him on... Sorry, skipped a little. Threatened to report events to superiors, hyphen. Officers subsequently placed him on more dangerous patrols, perhaps hoping he'd be killed. And 3 men halted the killings. Now, these are the ones I want y'all to remember. These are who our lesson is based on. And 3 men halted the killings. Predictably, they were outsiders. The catalyst was Warrant Officer Hugh Thompson Jr. Again, someone worth remembering out of this horrible fucking tragedy. Warrant Officer Hugh... Sorry, tragedy implies that it was destined. Something about this horrible, blood-soaked fucking crime against humanity. A little bit of people doing the right thing. Warrant Officer Hugh Thompson Jr., age 25, who was flying a helicopter along with 2 crew members, Glenn Anderotta and Lawrence Colburn. Perhaps pertinent to what occurred was the fact that Thompson descended from Native American survivors of the Trail of Tears death march. His religious parents raised him in the 1950s in rural Georgia, whoop Georgia boy, to oppose segregation. Colburn and Anderotta were observant Catholics. So, to get this into perspective, they were on a helicopter, probably doing either firing runs to burn down forests, or providing air cover for other soldiers, or possibly just doing evacs. But helicopter pilot, Native American background, he was directly affected by the Trail of Tears, and being in Georgia during segregation, yeah, you know his parents probably had to shed some blood and possibly lose some blood just to make sure that these kids could go to school correctly for all the piece of shit white people that thought that black people and white people shouldn't mix. So again, that's where the difference is. These aren't just people, oh wow, if you throw 10 humans together, 5... No. These people came from a background that taught them right from wrong, and they did by that teaching. If Warrant Officer Hugh Thompson Jr. had been raised by a KKK-loving fucking white supremacist Trump supporter, he probably would have been like, hell yeah, brother, get them civilians. But he wasn't. He was raised by good people. And to let you know the picture I keep looking at, which is iconic photos of the nightmare, left civilians seconds before being killed. The woman in the back holding her child had been raped. Right, the dead villagers. And yeah, that's exactly what the image is, and I'm glad the image quality is not good in this book. But Glenn Anderotta, Lawrence Colburn, Warrant Officer Hugh Thompson Jr. 3 good men in this otherwise shitstorm. Perhaps pertinent, we already did that. Thompson and his crew had flown over the village, intending to aid the infantry fighting Viet Cong. Instead of evidence of a battle, they saw masses of dead civilians. Thompson initially thought that the village was under attack, with Americans protecting the villagers, but couldn't figure out where the attack was coming from. He landed the copter amid the chaos and saw one soldier, Sergeant David Michael, firing into a mass of injured, wailing civilians in a ditch, and another, Captain Ernest Medina. Also names that should be remembered considering that they never faced justice for these crimes. But Captain Ernest Medina shot a woman point blank. Thompson realized who was doing the attacking. He confronted Calley, who was the higher ranking than him, and told him to mind his... He confronted Calley, who was higher ranking than him, and told him to mind his damn business. Thompson saw a group of women and children huddled by a bunker, with American soldiers approaching and preparing to attack. Discussing what happened next. Discussing what happened next, more than 20 years later, he described his feelings about those soldiers. They were the enemy at the time. I guess they were damn sure the enemy of those people on the ground. He did something of dizzying strength and bravery, something that proves every word of this book, and how us versus them categorizations can change in an instant. Hugh Thompson landed his helicopter between the villagers and the soldiers, and with his machine guns oriented towards his fellow Americans, ordered his crew to mow them down if they attempted to further harm the villagers. Got a lick, sir. Thompson radioed fellow helicopter pilots to evacuate survivors to hospitals, and Anderotta waded through the dead in the ditch to rescue a miraculously unharmed 4-year-old. Thompson reported what he had seen to his commanding officers, who sent word of the events up the chain. As a result, the senior officer who had commanded the search and destroy mission canceled the ones planned for subsequent days in neighboring villages, and began the process of covering up what had occurred. Anderotta was dead within 3 weeks, killed in battle. Colburn and even more so Thompson attempted to inform every military, governmental, and media source available about the events, and played key roles in making the My Lai massacre public. Representative Mendel Rivers, chairman of the House of Armed Service Committee, attempted to block the persecution of Calley, and to have Thompson persecuted instead as a traitor. Remember, folks, in the government, and especially in the military, no good deed will ever go unpunished. These men were fucking heroes. They were the example and exemplary what an American soldier should be. What an armed serviceman is expected to be in movies and nonsense and fantasy. And they showed their stuff. They showed that they were real men of honor and valor. And in exchange for that, their government tried to have them arrested as traitors, and tried to keep the child-raping, murdering, piece of shit commander who ordered that. They probably wanted him draped in military regalia, right? That's not what happened, though. Representative Mendel Rivers, chairman of the House Armed Service Committee, tried his best but failed. Thomas prosecuted instead as a traitor. Thompson testified against Calley at his trial and received death threats for years. Because of course he did. It took 30 years for him and Colburn to be honored by the military for their actions. Thompson died in 2006 with Colburn at his bedside. Now, like I said, no good deed goes unpunished. These men weren't bathed in fucking glory. They weren't, oh, our conquering heroes held up on high. They were called traitors. They were called fucking horrible, unspeakable racial slurs, probably. And they still did what was necessary for the right thing, not the right wing, of course. And that's what I mean, yeah, y'all, I'm not polished here. If you want polish, go check out Forrest Valakai. Go check out The Lion with Jimmy Snow. I'm just one pissed off dude reading a book and explaining to y'all as best I can what I'm seeing and reading. Please go pick up this book yourself at your local library. Behave. Humans at their best and worst. And I promise there are also fun parts of this book too. It's not all this dark. But if the image will pick it up on the camera, I want to show you these people because they deserve to be remembered more than the pieces of shit that committed horrible war crimes and were honored for it. Left, Glenn Anderotta. That's Glenn. A good man. An honorable man. Right to left, Hugh Thompson, Lawrence Colburn, Duha, who they rescued from the ditch as a child. My Lai Village, 1998. If you can see it, because I think you can. Commanding officer, military man, two people that they saved from being murdered by the U.S. military. And all it took, every bit of their reputation, and the solid brass balls to say, fuck you, if you try it, I'll goddamn kill you. Because sometimes, y'all, that's the only thing that'll stop evil people, is the direct threat to their safety. Now, bouncing back up. Thus we have one person impulsively changing history. Thus we have one person impulsively changing history in 20 countries, another who overcame decades of hatred to catalyze reconciliation, and others who overcame every reflex of their training to do the right thing. That's another thing that I want to get off on here that kind of annoys me when people are all like trying to suck off the military. I'm not going to knock you if you chose the military in order to dig yourself out of poverty, because this is America, and if you don't dig yourself out of poverty, you will die in it. But let's be clear. There's no honor in that service. There's no, you did the right thing just by volunteering to kill people for your country. And the training they put you through will, I think, honestly make you a worse person. Because they take someone who would question everything and make you a very blunt, very rigid tool that questions nothing and does exactly what they're commanded to do. Technically, he should have done what the commanding officer said. Shut the fuck up, watched them slaughter the civilians, gone home, had some coffee, and ignored the entire situation. But he was not just a military tool. He was not just a dog of war. He was not just a piece of shit. He was a man. And so he stood like men of honor do when they're presented with unspeakable things to stand in front of. Now, am I saying that he, like, true Rambo'd it? I wasn't there. In my head, yes, he's fucking shirt ripped, looking like goddamn Fabio, muscles rippling in the wind. He looks like a motherfucking video game hero in my mind. In truth, these are the heroes, guys. Do they look like they would be your classic heroes? They look like a bunch of dudes that I'd hang out with at a bar. Look like some folks you'd share a drink or a meal with. And hell, we probably wouldn't get along. But they did the damn deed, and for that I can respect it. And that's the thing, it's never going to be the one that looks like a hero, because most of the ones that make themselves look like heroes, they're putting on a mask because they don't want to see what their real face looks like. Either way. Time for one last singular person, one who inspired me enormously. The person was the Anglican cleric John Newton, born 1725. Well, that doesn't sound too exciting. He's best known for composing the hymn Amazing Grace. Oh, cool, that, along with Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah, always moved me. Newton's also an abolitionist, a mentor to William Wilberforce. Sorry, that's a weirder name than most of the other ones. William Wilberforce. I'm just assuming his parents hated him. But William Wilberforce in his parliamentary battle to outlaw slavery in the British Empire. Okay, getting better. Now get this. As a young man, Newton had captured a slave ship. Bingo, that's the setup. A man overseeing and profiting from slavery. A flash of religious and moral insight, dramatic recognition of the us and them, dramatic expansion of his humanity, dramatic commitment to make amends for the savagery he had done. You can practically see Chapter 5, Natural Plasticity on Fire in Newton's brain. A couple chapters back, natural plasticity is how our brains work. If you don't get a lot of frontal lobe damage, which you really shouldn't do, even if you're in mixed martial arts and other physical sports, don't hurt the noggin. The more damage you do to your brain, the less plasticity it has. And your brain's plasticity is basically what it can do to think around corners. How it can heal. How you can go from a piece of shit white dude raised to be slightly racist in a very southern state to being a wild communist lefty. Brain plasticity. The ability to shift and think and move. But you can practically see it lighting up in his brain from Chapter 5. Sorry, thought I needed to dig into what neuroplasticity was for a second. Nothing resembling this occurred. Nothing. All that I just told you, a beautiful lie, friends. Hold on to that, and welcome back if you skipped ahead from the last one. Don't go back, that's a terrible story. Good heroes, 3 good heroes. Those are the 3 good heroes. Don't go back there. Come on, stay here with me. We're going to cover terrible things from a lot longer ago, so it's a little easier to listen to. Now, here's what actually occurred. Newton, the son of a ship captain, goes to sea with his father at age 11. At 18, he is pressed into service in the Navy, tries to desert, and is flogged. Wit. Newton manages to escape, and works on a West African slave ship. Get ready for him to see similarity between the captivity of these people and his own experience, to have a revelation. No such thing occurs. He works on the slave ship and is apparently so detested by everyone that they dump him in what is now Sierra Leone, with a slaver who gives him to his wife as a slave. He's rescued. Now, keep in mind, this is a man who ran a slave ship, who then was enslaved by the ship's captain because he was so disliked on the ship. Just keep that one in the old brain pan for a minute and let's keep going. He's rescued. The ship he's on, returning to England, is caught in a horrific storm and starts to sink. Newton calls out to God. The ship doesn't sink, and he has a spiritual conversation to evangelical Christianity. He signs up to work on another slave ship. Get ready now, he's found God, has just been a slave himself, and is poised to subtly recognize the horror that was the slave trade, much like I'm recognizing the horror that's splitting giant words. Y'all, word spacing matters. Let's reread that sentence because I fucked it up. He signs up to work on another slave ship. Get ready now. He's found God, has just been a slave himself, and is poised to suddenly recognize the horror of the slave trade. Nope. He professes some sympathy for slaves, grows deeper into his evangelical conversion. He eventually becomes captain of a slave ship, and works another 6 years before stopping. At least he's seen his actions for what they are. He quit, right? No. It's because of his health. It was declining from those tough voyages. He works as a tax collector, studies theology, applies to become an Anglican priest, and he invests his money in slave trading ventures. So, let's again go over this dude's life right quick. Amazing Grace, dude who wrote the very famous song that Christians still suck off all the time. Was a slave captain's son. Was enslaved himself. Almost died in a storm, cried out for God and was spared. Continued working as a slave captain. retired from being a slave captain, reinvested in the slave trade. But that song kicks it, right? That's a real happy song. Amazing Grace. Y'all know the song. In the parlance of my native Brooklyn, from when it was not yet trendy, can you believe this fucking guy? I'm not from Brooklyn, so y'all have to give me credit or roast me in the comments for that one. I'll give it one more try with the, hey, I'm walking here. And he invests his money in slave trading ventures. In the parlance of my native Brooklyn, from when it was not yet trendy. Can you believe this fucking guy? He becomes a popular preacher, known for his... Okay, now I gotta drop the New York. He becomes a popular preacher, known for his sermons and pastoral concern. He composes hymns, speaks out for the poor and downtrodden, presumably. Somewhere along the way, he stops investing in slavery. Maybe because of his conscience. Maybe because better investments come along. Still not a word about slavery. Finally, he publishes a pamphlet denouncing it. 34 years after stopping being a slaver. That's a lot of time spent blind as a blind wrench. Newton is a rare voice among abolitionists. Someone who has witnessed those horrors, let alone inflicted them. He becomes the major abolitionist voice in England, and lives to see England ban the slave trade in 1807, after profiting off of it for over 37 years. There's no way I could ever be Thompson, Anderotta, or Colburn. I'm not brave. I run away to solidarity. Sorry. This is Robert Sapolsky directly, and these are the little pieces that I love reading, because the man's a goddamn genius, and sometimes he just self-reflects in ways that is incredibly vulnerable. And I really appreciate that, so I hope y'all can too. There's no way I could ever be Thompson, Anderotta, or Colburn. I'm not brave. I run away to solitary African field sites instead of confronting difficult things. Maybe at best I would have been one of the soldiers standing in confusion. Give me one moment, young Master Shefu needs to come up here again. See y'all, good folks, and interrupt my reading. Oh, I wish y'all could see how excited he gets when he jumps. Hi again, buddy. You gonna sit up here for a minute this time? I was about to say, if you want to sit in camera, that'd be great too. Not saying it, boy, I'm not using you as a prop, unless you want to be a prop. Okay, where was I at? There's no way I could ever be Thompson, Anderotta, or Colburn. I'm not brave. I run away to solve it. Blah, blah, blah. Maybe at best I could have been one of the soldiers standing in confusion, compelled by the inhibitions that Grossman discussed into repeatedly checking my rifle to make sure it was loaded rather than firing it. Honestly, real talk, y'all, if that was you in the battle, props. Y'all, that's the thing. It doesn't take... Yeah, I'm not losing my place. It doesn't take extreme bravery every time. You don't have to run in there, boss, you've hurt that person's feelings, and fuck you, I'm gonna stand up to you and bah! No, just, hey, boss was kind of a dick to that person. I think I'm gonna fuck up the next 2 orders. Hey, boss was kind of a dick to that person. I think I'm gonna drag my feet a little in these next couple assignments. You can be a coward about it and still do the right thing. You don't have to wave the flag and be an extremist. You don't have to scream at the CEO that they're a piece of shit and when they die everyone's going to celebrate. Like certain, you know. Pray for Luigi Mangione if you're the praying sort. That man needs prayers. He's doing God's work. But still, you don't have to be that brave. You just have to be pissed off enough to do anything. Throw sand in the cogs, y'all. Again, no one person is ever going to change everything. That's a myth. That's a myth made to keep us down. Because if we're all looking for our Jesus, no one's ever going to start picking up those crosses. If we're all waiting for him, no one's going to try. Again, you're not going to... You're not. If you want to be the Captain America, the singular savior... Please try. I want you to try, because fuck, that'd be cool to watch. But it's probably not going to happen, because the system wasn't made for one person or against one person. It was made to benefit about, I'd say, 100 or 200 super wealthy billionaires who have addresses. They have home addresses. They have families. They have soft targets. I mean, let's get back to the book. But Newton is different. Newton is familiar. He takes convenient comfort from the Bible's embrace of slavery, spends decades resenting the possibility of his personal morality, moving past its convictions. He shows great empathy, but applies it selectively. He expands his circle of who counts as us, but only so far. We saw how the person who emerges from the crowd to run into the burning building typically acts before thinking, displaying an integrated automaticity of doing the harder, better thing. Automaticity. Basically, it was very popular in the 90s. I don't know if it's as popular today with doomerism and YouTube and the claviculars and all of it all, but back in the day, a humongous news segment would almost always be, "Oh no, that child has fallen into a dangerous thing. Oh no, that person has done something dumb to otherwise hurt themselves. Oh look, a random civilian." And then the random civilian pulls the dog out of the icy waters, pulls the little bastard out of the otter tank. Look it up, the dude was a little bastard. But either way, do the heroic deed, and when asked, "But why?" the person will usually, "I don't know." Because, y'all, much like when you see a fire, what's your first response when you see a fire? Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. But once you move past the oh shit, what's the next step? Do you run away and yell for everyone, "Fire, fire, 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 fire"? Or do you go step on it? Or, "Oh shit, what kind of a fire is it? I'm going to analyze it and grab..." What you're going to do next, you don't think about. You just do. And that's what automated nervous system is. Most of the time when you give a response, when you do a thing, it's not you. It's you. It's the you inside of here that you speak to on the daily, sometimes the minutely if you're a little crazy, but not the you that you frequently are. It's the you that is you beneath the mask, to get all woo-woo with you. And I hate to keep having to break into tangents, but we're in chapter like 20, 30 something. I cut a lot of fat out for y'all that I plan on adding back in later, but as previously mentioned, I don't want Penguin to break an icicle off in my ass, so putting in lots of tangents, putting in lots of my own flavor. Mr. Sapolsky, I respect you so much. If you would reach out to me, I think I would die. I think my little heart would just... I don't like celebrities, but I do love intelligent people, and I would love to just be told I'm a complete fucking idiot by this guy, and you don't understand my policies or my words. Here, let me explain them better. I would fucking die happy. So if I'm mischaracterizing you, sir, please, Robert Sapolsky here, the rest of y'all can comment as you wish, but just the author here, or the workers on the book, if I'm off base, please, I am willing to be corrected. By them. By them. Okay. But Newton, we can practically see his DIPCFC laboring with... DIPFC. The direct lobotomal... It's a part of the brain. It's a... Again... 1 second. I ain't gonna let us get tripped up too bad, but I want to find the exact thing and see if we got a chart. It's the rationalization part of the brain. It's a lot of charts, and it's a lot back in the fat of the book. But it is the DLPFC laboring with all that rationalizing. There's nothing I can do. It's too big for one person to challenge. Better to be concerned about the needy who are close to home. I can use the profits from the investments for good works. Anyone with their hands in the Harry Potter pot right now. You're a piece of shit. You're no different than this fat fucker here. Yeah, that fucker. Fuck him. Wrote a fucking banger of a religious song, was a total piece of shit all the way through his life. Those people really are so fundamentally different. I'm tired. Yes, journey begins with a single step, but with Newton's it's 10 step. Yes, journeys begin... I did fuck that up. Yes, journeys begin with a single step, but with Newton, it's 10 steps forward, 9 self-serving steps back. Thompson's moment of moral perfection feels as unattainable to me as aspiring to be a gazelle or a waterfall or an incandescent sunset. But there's hope for us, with our foibles and our inconsistencies and our frailties, as we watch Newton slowly lurch his way towards being a moral titan. That is kind of fucked up too, isn't it? I mean, again, it's being raised in the South, and I can sing all of Amazing Grace from memory. Not going to expose y'all to that because I can't carry a tune in a bucket, but as I've been told several times. But that's just the thing. It's the us, and I'm going to stop there for now because that's kind of the end of our bit there that I can cover comfortably. I'm still dog-earing. I'm still remembering. I hope to get to come back to here because I not only have this fun book. Alice, I need you to move. Oh, never mind. I don't need you to move your ass. I also have this fun book. A primate's memoir, which actually shows one of the experiments that Robert did not mean to do, but kind of proves what's in this one. Also, the number of fat in that book. But A Primate's Memoir is about when he was in Africa studying the baboons, hence the name and the really cute title. Not AI, somebody drew that, I love them. I want a picture of that someday. But basically, and I'm going to break it down super, broken down for you here. Please read the book and actually look into what he talks about for it, because it's really cool. But basically, the baboon troop he watches was near a African game preserve where, unfortunately, due to some unsafe labor practices in the meat processing section, they weren't adequately checking their meat for tuberculosis and other problems, and unfortunately, some tuberculosis-infected cattle got into the, white douchebag's food. And thankfully, the game preserve and the good folks working there got rid of that tubercular meat. The problem is like with everywhere, you got bad meat in your kitchen, what do you do with it? Do you throw it in the incinerator and bring it down to a fine ash to where it doesn't do it? No? Yeah, neither do I. We throw it in the trash, right? Well, when you're in a West African hunting area, typically your trash goes to a very, very, very large pit that they dig in, and I could fault them, but I mean, it's very much, why are you doing it that way when you could be doing it this way? Well, bitch, we ain't got that way to do it, so we do it the way we can. Either way, they throw their trash in a pit. This big-ass pit of trash also attracts lots of wildlife, in this case, baboons. Now, the baboon tribes, or packs, or troops, I think they're troops, the baboon troops, they still stay and socialize. And in the case of the one Robert was studying, he studied the really macho men, the really badass, strong alphas. Well, they didn't stay and pluck fucking parasites. They didn't hang out and gather food and shoot shit with the ladies and raise the little... No, they fucked over to the goddamn game preserve to get them some fucking meat. Because the game preserve, you only have to fight other baboons. The humans ain't gonna fuck with you. You got teeth that goddamn big. They're just gonna give you space. So, they would go, fight, scrap, get whatever they wanted, and a lot of them got tuberculosis. And again, I'm probably gonna read that one later, because that last one I'm kind of proud of myself for not crying. This one I will fucking cry in. Because Robert loses his favorite baboon, if he had one. Not accusing you of nothing, Robert. It's just, as a scientist, you're not supposed to take favorites, especially if you're studying an animal group. You shouldn't even name them, but if you're doing a documentary, you kind of got to, because otherwise people won't connect and then your documentary goes nowhere. But you don't get connected to your subjects like that. He did. And when the tuberculosis broke out, one of them died while he was trying to save them. And it was very just... Honestly, I don't understand why we have so many remakes of fucking movies when this movie is right here. But, either way, the tuberculosis outbreak came. All the aggressive baboons, through self-choice, were eliminated. And it started a matriarchal reign in the baboons that Robert got to see when he returned to Africa several years later. Where the matriarchy, basically being the ladies of the group, and the beta males, the ones who would rather raise the children and hang out with the girls and socialize with each other, they all survived. And instead of fighting or tripping each other up, they became very, I mean, like, you can read magazine articles about these baboons. They broke the mold. Because most baboons, and a lot of sexist scientists use it as the superiority of men nonsense, most baboon troops, due to masculine baboons being big, strong, broody guys, yeah, most of the time, the big, strong brute just becomes the king. In this case, all the brutes died. You had kings who were intelligent, and so they gave it over to queens. And those queens basically raised the entire troop like it was their family. And the troops all got bigger, all got healthier. When Robert returned, they were going through a little bit of a stone age of sorts. And again, I think that's directly tied. He made, like, note of it, and I'm not stealing any of his idea. If he came up with this idea, all credit goes to him. He's the study guy. But it seems like when we get rid of these stupid macho douchebags of, I don't like you, so we're gonna fight. When we get rid of the aggressive assholes, everyone gets better. Almost like that's a negative character trait and not something masculine to be held up aloft, but instead real masculinity comes from both being that masculine, but also being able to control it. Because masculinity is self-control, it's strength from within. It's also what separates real good folks from real pieces of shit. Because any piece of shit can wear a uniform. Anyone can. Anyone can play dress up. But you know a person by how they act, what they do. And more importantly, what they do when no one is watching. I mean, y'all, I try not to record when I pick up trash and things like that, because other than the end of... I would like to actually start recording, like, the end result of it to be able to say, come on, y'all, we can do it. But I try not to... Because it's not... I don't do it for clout. I don't do it to get channel views. I do it because it needs to be done. And that's not me tooting my own horn, but it is a little bit, because we do have to honor ourselves too sometimes. And that's part of it, y'all. This is the closing bit, so if you want to try... I guess I should put in a placement here. Hey, y'all, if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I'm brand new at all this shit, even though I have 1,000 videos down now. And I'm still very new at all this. But I don't want anyone to be too hard on themselves. We all come from bad and good. And we all can make good or bad decisions based on that. What the goal needs to be is to look at these things that have happened in the past, good and bad, atrocity and amazing thing. I don't have the word for that, but we need to look at it and we need to build upon it to make it better. And in case, random subject here, but in case you're wondering, yes, I still have long hair. It's just like 900 degrees in Georgia right now, 81, and it's hot. House tea. Basically, it's 1 bag chamomile, 2 bag ginseng, 2 bag Lipton, and about 1.5 cups of sugar. If you want to try my blend, it's pretty good, I think. It's the quenchiest next to cactus juice. And I guess if I'm going to make this a super long ranty video, I can go on to... I kind of picked a fight with Danny Moda, and I hope that he don't take the fight too seriously, because I do love his content, but I just... Guys, I'm an artist too. I'm a trash artist. I don't expect, like, shit tons of money for what I do. I don't expect any money from what I do. But I am so tired of these artists who live in these super high rises and have collections that would make fucking kings jealous, getting real upset because some people took their leaked footage and watched something that they otherwise wouldn't be able to watch. Now, I do understand the whole people that are watching it and then spoiling it. Don't be a dick. Don't. If you get a chance to see it, enjoy it. Find people that want to talk about it maybe, but don't be spoiling it for people. That's wrong. But I also think, you know, if you want people to love your product, maybe treat it more like the art that it is rather than just a product. Again, I would be much more die-hard Avatar for the company, and I am die-hard Avatar in case you can't tell. I mean, White Lotus still needs a lot of work, but Air Nation, one second, it's a lot harder to show this on camera, But I got Air Nation, Fire Nation, Earth Nation, Water Nation. I'm a little bit of an Avatar nerd. But I can't, like, die hard for the company because, I mean, I remember when you gave my baby to M. Night Shyamalan to make that abortion with. I remember when y'all promised me Netflix was going to change the way I saw the franchise, and I was, and I was just, okay, why'd you fuck up Sokka? I liked Sokka. He's supposed to be a toxic piece of shit when the story starts out. That's why I relate to him. Because we were all dumbass little 12-year-old boys at one point. And watching Sokka grow from a 12-year-old little boy in a 18-year-old body, 14, whatever. Watching him grow from a 12-year-old little boy into what would eventually become a leader in, by the time you get to Legend of Korra, a well-known leader and peacemaker. You gotta give him a place to start. You don't. Nobody wants one-dimensional characters. The reason I love the Owl House, and I love, probably gonna say it wrong, Lutz, is she starts out as just this crazy little, doesn't care what happens goblin, and still stays just that same level of crazy I don't care energy, but then learns to take into account the people around her. Because like in the beginning of that series, it wasn't, oh, you need to be normal, it was, honey, everyone's making fun of you and your mother and everything around you because you are so out there. And she didn't understand it, so she just didn't care. As she went into the Boiling Isles, she became more aware of things around her, and so she became better. I don't like t-shirts, and currently this one's like sticking to me. But, like I said, don't make one-dimensional characters. And for fuck's sake, Hollywood, don't make another remake. Go talk to Robert Sapolsky. Give me a goddamn good movie about baboons. Give me a nice fucking movie about the human condition. About where we are, where we've been, and where we could be if we would just get a little better. Because we're this close, y'all. We're this close. If we would manage our resources with the technology we have right now, we could be done with scarcity, totally. We could have, and I know I sound crazy, I realize that. Go talk to a scientist when it comes to the food triangles. Right now, we produce I believe it's 3 times, I might be being a little undercarriage there. But we produce 3 times the world's need in food. We just throw out a lot of it. We have all the makings right in front of us right now to build a post-scarcity world where no child, no body need go without or go hungry again. We live in a society where we have houses that people aren't living in because they can't pay the stupid amount that someone else thinks that house should be paid to live in. But wouldn't a small amount and someone living there to keep the place from burning down, per se, be better than just making another rat, hornet, or otherwise infested home? Because again, as a southerner here who does see the problem, sometimes from a direct fucking standpoint, yeah, some of these houses remain unoccupied until somebody unhoused and desperate enough kind of breaks into them. But otherwise, they're just left alone. And if you do urban explore, be careful with that, if you do urban explore, yeah, there are a lot of these places that could be fixed up and be lived in. But instead, they're just another rat trap, or just another hornet's nest, or just another enter your choice. Hell, there are quite a few trap houses around that would be lovely homes if the jackasses that own the trap house would just, instead of renting it out for $100,000, would rent it out for $100 a week, $100 a month, whatever. Would set it based on what they know people can pay rather than how much can I bleed the people for. And that's where it needs to flip. And I guess I started with cigarettes and Job Corps. I still do it with artwork. I've never understood I have this item. This item cost $90 to produce. Would you like this item? It will only cost you $300. How much are you putting in advertising? $300. I put $10 in advertising. No. Take your item. If it costs $90 to produce, sell it for $100. Keep it fair. Stop trying to be greedy. Let's look at money hoarding the same way we do newspaper hoarding. If you looked at my home and you saw books on books on books on books on books on books on books, it would have been a lot better if I had a shelf behind me. But if you just saw me falling in on books, I would look like a fucking hoarder. But if it's all $1,000 bills, well then y'all best start taking my advice, right? That's the thing. It's the same amount of hoarding. We need to take these billionaires to task. Because here's the thing, y'all. Reasonably, even without reason, just wildly spending, they will never run out of money. And you will never have the money that they will never run out of, because it will just be sitting there. Think about that for a minute. And get upset about it. Because it should be upsetting you. And no, for the record, I'm not saying to go rob them. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is that we need to work together. And that if you see somebody who's hoarding like that, rather than, wow, what a cool person, what neat toys you have, let's be friends. Instead, hey, fucker, what's wrong with you? There are children dying right now. Why do you need 3 fucking Tesla trucks? 'Cause I want to be popular. That's not the way to do it, friend. Call them out. And I think one of the reasons this doesn't work out as much in our modern age is because who are you going to call out? I mean, I flip off the one Tesla truck douchebag we got in this town every single day, and I genuinely don't know if he realizes that I don't hate him, I just hate what he's driving. I mean, I do hate him as a representative of the Tesla Nazi Corporation, but I don't hate him as a person. I think that they can be educated. I do believe in reform. That's a whole nother... For funsies, let's go ahead and break down the chapters of this, because I think I can get away with that. And there are, like I said, if you read the chapters, it kind of explains a little bit of how the book works. But it starts with an introduction of what is neuropsychology, how behave works, and what biology exactly leads to this biology. Chapter 1, the behavior. Excuse me, sorry. Y'all saw the last short, I had cabbage for breakfast. Sorry, sometimes it's fighting me. My cabbages! But, Chapter 1, the behavior. Chapter 2, 1 second before. Chapter 3, seconds to minutes before. Chapter 4, hours to days before. Chapter 5, days to months before. Chapter 6, adolescence, or, dude, where's my frontal cortex? And honestly, since we're doing this, is that one is kind of like, it's accurate. The reason that teenagers act like they do, like little assholes, sorry guys, is because their frontal cortex isn't fully developed yet. They're still learning how to move these meat suits around accurately without hurting themselves. Some of us are still learning that at 37. But give them some time, and when you argue with somebody who's younger, and I treat all internet arguments as if I'm arguing with a child, but if you're arguing with somebody younger, do take into account you're arguing with someone who has a disadvantage to you in the sense that you can sympathize more. So when you tell them, well, son, you just need to look at it like, how would you feel if you were that person? They can't. They can't do that. They can there's a concept there, and I'm not saying you kids can't. You have a concept of it. But as far as sitting in that feeling like they do, unless you've read a shit ton of like collegiate level books, you can't. It's physically impossible for you. It's not your fault, you just haven't been there yet. Like when I tell people to think about unhoused folks, unless you've been there, most of the time, well, I mean, why don't they just get a job? Because they've tried. It's hard to get a job when you don't have the uniform and you smell like a dumpster. And, well, where do you live at? Over there somewhere, in that tree line. Nobody hires you, so you're trapped. And now in the case of Georgia, thanks to good old Governor Kemp, you're now trapped and illegal. By old English standards, you'd be wolf's head. But basically, If I tell you to take kindness on someone and you can't understand where they're at, you'll never be able to. You gotta understand the empathy. Hence, dude, where's my frontal cortex? Chapter 7. Back to the crib, back to the womb. Chapter 8. And yes, that is, yes. Decisions you make, decisions that you, dear watcher, dear viewer, directly, or dear listener, directly make, are related directly to choices your mother made while you were in the womb. Choices that she might not have made by her own choice, by the way. Perhaps she didn't want to do that thing, but it was the only option she had available, like, I don't know, smoking, or drinking, or eating inappropriately, or eating too much. That's the thing, we have to be and I really hate how itchy I am right now, but we have to be understanding of each other and of like situations. Back to when you were just a fertilized egg. Centuries to millennial before. Now this is what affects your parents' choices and what they did. And your parents' parents' choices. Evolution of behavior. Chapter 10. Now chapter 11 is what I just read from, and it was a brief, penguin don't get in my ass, it was a brief, us versus them. Chapter 12, hierarchy, obedience, and resistance. A very important chapter that we will cover later when I know that I can safely cover the chapter without penguin beating my ass. Chapter 13, morality and doing the right thing once you've figured out what that is. Chapter 14, feeling someone's pain, understanding someone's pain, alleviating someone's pain. Chapter 15, metaphors we kill by. Chapter 16, biology, the criminal justice system, and oh, why not, free will. Chapter 16, if you check out Adam Conover's channel, he's somewhere, I'm not putting his link in because he's big enough he doesn't need my little ass talk about him. But if you check out Adam Conover's channel and type in Robert Sapolsky, Adam Conover, and free will, Robert Sapolsky does an entire deep dive talk with Adam Conover about why he, and I kind of agree with him, believe that free will is an illusion. If you don't have it, I don't have it. We have a select set, more like an NPC or a character chart of what you can and cannot say. And yes, I realize, oh, what? Even if you rebel against that, and okay, well, I'm going to do the opposite. Are you doing the opposite, or are you just doing exactly what I said, turned around? Am I making you dance, or are you rebelling? That's kind of the brain fuck of it all, right? Because, yeah, y'all, when I say there's no free will, fucking 10, 20 plus years of Christian indoctrination, well, about 14 years of Christian indoctrination, come rushing back and, yeah, we do! But do we? I mean, dear reader, dear viewer, please drop me $1 million right now. You've got free will. I stand by for that giant flux in income. The unhoused and the animal population around here will thank you greatly. But beyond that joke, the point is, you can't do anything as far as like anything. You can do what you can do. And yeah, we need to like set our standards at a normal level, but we also need to make sure that we're still pushing. If you're very comfortable and you're happy and there's nothing wrong and you're A-okay, son, there might be something wrong. Maybe you need to push a little bit, because there should always be a little bit of friction, a little bit of sand in there. Because otherwise, are you even living? By no means am I saying take the hard route, all that shit. Rest. Because when you are hungry, you are not thinking clearly. When you are tired, you are not thinking clearly. When you are upset, when you smell something bad, you are actually incredibly susceptible to external elements that you do not even know. I'm only barely aware of them, and I've read this goddamn book so many times I've almost broken the spine. And this is my second copy. For the record, I believe it might even be my third copy. Please, Robert, invite me to dinner. I've spent so much money on you. All jokes, because this is going online, and the front half of this was very, very heavy and dark matter. But chapter 17, and probably the lightest chapter, War and Peace. And in the epilogue, acknowledgments, Appendix 1, Appendix 2, Appendix 3, glossary abbreviations, notes, illustration credits, and index. Big bulk. and available at the Cartersville Library. That's where one of my copies went. But, like I said, y'all, I throw it up to you at this point when it comes to it. What do y'all think when it comes to the workings of the human mind? And yes, I'm a bit insane. If you want to insult me for it, go ahead. You ain't gonna hurt my feelings. If you can say something I ain't never heard before, I'll give you credit for it. But I don't want to get on here and become famous. I know I'm not gonna get on here and become rich. My goal is to hopefully get a hold of at least a handful of y'all and get you to realize the true power and potential that lies within your mind, same as mine, same as everyone else's. That we are capable of doing incredible things if we can focus and work together. And if we are unapologetic in that fight. I mean, what do? I job hunt to try to make the income that this is not providing for me yet. I clean up the roadsides. One of the things that I've been working on while working to reach out to one of the, believe it or not, one of the Christian guys around here, I've been making these, which is effectively taking plastic, cutting it into ribbons, taking those ribbons, I basically put them on this, and then I use my crochet hook here to make more or less a mat. This was originally going to be a apron for me to wear when I cook and such, but knowing that our homeless population is growing ever fucking steadily, I'm instead shifting full time into trying to make bed mats, which once I get enough of them made up, or at least a few, and I get a good working concept, I plan on going and hitting up the Christian dude that hangs out at the AMC and seeing if maybe we can work together on making a bunch of them, or taking that technique and handing it out for free to people, because again, this is just garbage that's laying around, and yet we can make it into something that could practically help and work with us. That's what we need. We don't need Rambo to come in here and smash shit up. We don't need to break things and and change it. No. We need time tested, and we need to work together. Because at the end of the day, the government wants us divided. The rich want us to be fighting. It's why they constantly push shit like Calcian betting apps. Because long ago, and probably about probably about 2015, America started to realize, oh, there is no ladder. Gen X pulled it up behind them, what little bit of a ladder they got. And now, if you want to get rich, there's YouTube, there's the various streaming sites, and hopefully you get very wealthy backers that like you and think you're pretty. Or gamble. Gamble. Are you gambling yet? You're not going to get there gambling, y'all, because one thing that they never tell you about when you gamble is they always share well, I bet my last dollar and I bet all the rent money, but then I won the jumbo bucks on Kalshi. Yeah, but how many people, didn't? Well, don't think about that. He won No, think about that. Whenever you gamble, go into it with the assumption that you're going to lose. Go into it knowing that whatever money you're throwing up, you're just lighting it on fire for the fun of it. And if you win, take it, reinvest your winnings, try again. Or take it and run. I mean, if I won any amount of money, I'd take it and run. But that's because, next bet it's gone. But that's the point, is I'm disgusted by our modern world. I am. But much like yourselves, I don't know what to do outside of what I am doing. So I say, reach out. Not only look for the helpers, but be the fucking helper. Pick up trash. That's the easiest thing that I can tell you to do, because it's something that always needs to be done, and nobody ever wants to fucking do it. They gotta schedule it. They gotta organize it. They gotta give you t-shirts and claws. And I'll tell you how I started it. I took a grocery bag that I had not yet broken down into one of these, and as I walked to work like I did every other fucking day, I just started, hey, that doesn't break down. Throw it in the bag. Hey, that does break down. Tear it up a little bit. And am I perfect? No, there are several days when it's 90 degrees outside and I've got 100 pounds of food on my back and I'm trying to get, 60 pounds, let's be real, but 60 to 80 pounds of food on my back, and I'm trying to get the fuck home in a beat. No, I'm not picking up garbage. I'm fucking getting home for this thawed food goes bad. But if I'm just fucking around, if I'm just out here stretching my muscles because exercising is fun, yeah, why not? Do a couple power squats. Hell, put it into your workout. Do you know how good it feels to kneel slide and grab something to throw it into a bag and then keep moving without missing a stride? Dude, you feel like a fucking video game character. And sometimes you bust your ass and it's hilarious because no one else can see it, and fuck them if they did. But it's just, you gotta work on it, y'all. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not saying that tomorrow be like the great fucking guys that I told you about. I'm just saying try. And when you see something, say something. Because the other part of it is just that. Evil wins when good men do not. No. Evil wins because too many people are trying to be that good man. Instead, just report it. Bitch out evil. Be pissed at it. Be just as petty as evil. But fight it. Because y'all, I mean, look at that shrivelly little tiny fuck Joe Rogan. The crazy radical guy who was all about anti-government, and now he's basically sucking the president's toes on national television, showing us that he's basically the size of a fucking action figure compared to the other people at the table. And what is there to say other than Joe Rogan's a fucking sellout? And honestly, years ago, I might not have... Now I'll say it, Joe, you really want to fight? I'll fight your little ass. I ain't scared of you no more. Shit. You used to think you were big or something. Fuck. You're just an old gas bag. Just a little wrinkly old drunk. Well, little wrinkly old pothead, I should say. I don't know, maybe you're drunk, you look like you're coated in hot dog wax. Little digs, because I quite frankly hate where we've gotten to, and I hate the dumbasses that got us here. And yeah, part of it's my fault. I didn't come out sooner and start talking. I didn't make enough of an ass of myself. A lot of people ain't made enough of an ass of themselves. Start doing it. Fuck, what's the worst that's gonna happen, y'all? I mean, can you think of a worse timeline than the one we're currently on? That's all I'm saying. Push for it, because why not? And as soon as y'all, I know every other video I'm saying I'm going to get my stuff worked out. I really am trying to get the computer worked out to where I can live stream again. Even if it is just so y'all can watch me fail at being a Viking on Assassin's Creed. I do miss that. I have been practicing. I think it'll be a lot more fun for y'all to watch me play League of Legends and pick up weird little chat bots, because I've gotten... If you get a message from a Lily, there's like... Lily seems to be a bad name on League of Legends, because I've made like every other friend that comes out with, oh bro, you're good at that, or is this your second account? Not really, but hey, nice to make friends. I'm trying to make more friends at this game, because it's been told to me that it's the most toxic one online. Oh cool, join me on Discord. Okay, cool. Why are you the same? Oh. It's just the same Hey, you want to see my OnlyFans page? I don't fault you for your hunting ground, because, yeah, this is a good fishing hole, but barking up the wrong tree, miss. I'm sorry. Wrong tree. Good try. Better luck next time. Either way. I'm just sort of winding down on this one because I wanted to make a video. I wanted to make a good long video because it's been so long since I've made a good long video. And I knew that in the case of this, it was going to be some serious heavy stuff. So I was also going to backload it with some funny stuff. I probably should have front loaded it, but you know, business out the way first. And all in all, y'all, on the whole, like, I guess catch-up thing, I'm doing pretty good. Got a shave. Been pushing my artwork, trying to get it out there more. Been trying to do a bit more cleanup work and trying to do more reach-out stuff. It's very hard without a vehicle in Georgia, because in Georgia you have to have a vehicle to do just about anything. But I'm still trying. I'm not giving up on my reasoning. And honestly, like I keep telling them, if you come pick me up, I'll go do about anything you need me to do, minus certain very tiny acts. But if I'm going to have to walk out there, friends, I'll make it. But you need to give me like a 4-hour head start. Because what takes y'all 10 minutes to get there takes me about an hour. But when I get there, the path behind me will be cleaner. If there are paths into the branches, like a couple times I've been taking my hedge clippers with me, my little hand clippers, and when I break it off the trail to go, don't worry about it, I gotta do things off the trail sometimes, I'll take there and I'll snip a little, like, I don't try to make a giant secret garden style opening, but it's like Try to make a little notch in the woods. That way if someone else is walking that path and needs to go, or, you know, for whatever reason you need to break off the trail for a minute. I think that would be the best golden rule and a good ender for this. I try to be the person that I would like to have in that situation. And if I can't, I try to be as close to that person as I can be. And I feel that's a good way to end this one without any calls to action that are negative, and without asking y'all to do anything that I myself wouldn't do. Just be the change you want to see. Because if we don't do it, who is? The U.S. government? All they ever do is make things worse. And then honestly, maybe that's their whole scheme. I do have hopes. Let's be clear, as long as I'm dogging on folks, I might think Chuck Schumer is the biggest embarrassment to the Democratic Party that we have ever had. I'm standing by that one, Chucky. Fuck you. But, I mean, AOC's still fighting hard. I haven't heard anything negative. I haven't heard anything particularly wow, but nothing negative either, and that's saying something in this charged environment. I mean, Zoran Mamdani has officially gotten grocery stores opened up in New York that are serving the public, and y'all, socialism works. I mean, I personally would prefer communism. I think that we could all go for some gay space communism here and have a post-scarcity world where we can all just follow our dreams. And yes, for some of us, that dream might just be fucking off for a few weeks and resting. But after the few weeks of rest, you want to get back to something. Space communism, friends. It makes it to where we can pursue our dreams. And imagine how amazing the world would be if everybody who had an idea could pursue that idea to the fullest, rather than, yeah, you can pursue your idea after your 70-hour work week, after your fucking all your chores are done, after your home is completely cleaned. Nah, y'all, imagine a world where someone else can clean your home because that's something that someone else can do. Or you can clean your own home, but that's the thing. It's not communism demands of you, it's communism gives us. And what we can make of what it can give us. As opposed to capitalism where we have to constantly give to it or die. I mean, now I'm just rambling. Now this is totally just turned into a ramble stream. But, like I said, y'all, I go crazy a lot because I see what the potential here is. I see what we could be. And I see people that could put thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions even possibly, into making the world a better place. And instead, well, we got the newest Pokeball. It's like, y'all, what's the point of it? If the world is burning and your children will not live to see your age, right? Real talk, with global warming being the way it is, if I had kids, I am not sure that my kids would reach age 37. By 2050, the average temperature is going to be around 150 degrees. And that's a morning temperature. 150 degrees. By 2050. Take your kid's age right now. How old will they be in 2050? Are you willing to trade that? Is that something you're okay with? Because if it is, friend, I don't know how to help you. You've been on that doom train too long. We gotta fight it. And the bell done got rang. The bell got rang in the 90s by Ted Turner and Captain Motherfucking Planet. We're late. We gotta get to it. But hey, look for the helpers, because they are out there. You want good political streamers that'll give you some hope? Riverboat GG, Riverboat Jack. Awesome streamer. If you're a bit on the spicier side, Hassan Piker's pretty good. And he'll piss off your Democrat friends too. Squid Tips is a very good guy that'll teach you a lot of really cool stuff about both protecting yourself and your community. I think it's Little Bear Martial Arts Studio, Red Panda Martial Arts guys. Fun guys. Don't go for the right-wing ones. Look for the lefties. They are out there. Mostly just look for common spaces online, but also look for people that you can reach out and talk to. Because again, y'all, that's where the real work is. That's where the brave work comes in, is talking to folks around you that you don't know. And by no means am I saying to go out there and hug a complete stranger. That's a good way to get hit. But Go talk to him. Go through that awkward phase of, well, what kind of things do you, what kind of music do you, what about this movie? Oh, yeah, movie, yeah, let's talk about those movies. Find common ground. And then build upon it. Y'all, I don't hate all Republicans. I hate all Trumpers. And no, that's a middle ground I'm not going to find, because if you supported Trump, Pence, I can tolerate you because you might have just made a bad decision. If you can admit you made a bad decision, we can get along. If you supported Trump against Kamala Harris, fuck off. I don't need your help. I don't need to talk to you. We don't need to hang out. I don't care how your mama doing. We don't need you. Because at this point, we knew how he was going to be. You might say, oh, I didn't know he was going to claim to be Jesus. Yeah, but you kind of did, because he's a narcissist. But outside of that, just being a Republican, we can talk. Hell, I think conservatively about quite a few things. I don't hunt myself, but I'm not against hunting. I used to be against guns. Now I'm much more, being that my country is marching towards fascism, I'm not going to use one because I'm crazy and don't need to be handed guns. I can do just as much damage with my cleavers, knives, and cooking instruments. But for you, by all means, just don't give them out to your kids. Like I said, y'all, this is just end the video, reaching out, hoping maybe some of y'all might be able to reach out around yourselves and build community around yourselves. Because it's going to take all of us, y'all. Mostly maybe I'm just rambling now to keep the flame alive. A good singer that I like, Calley Bolton. Give me a second. I got a radio on my phone, and I'll look her actual name up. But Little Flame Alive is one of the songs she sings that I really like, and I would play it, but the last time I tried, YouTube, no. YouTube said no. But her name is, give me a second. Downside to the free app, it gives you a lot of ads. Oh, also check out Conspiracy International. That's an Iranian, Gen Alpha group right now. And I like them. I mean, I don't fully agree with the Ayatollah. I don't fully agree with any theocracy. But they do make some... Y'all, if you listen to Loser, that's a banger of a fucking song. Let's see. Another good one for the boys to listen to would be Lydia the Bard. I like Lydia. Calley Bolton. Carsieblanton. Check her out. She is just a little ray of sunshine in these terrible times. But yeah, y'all, recommendations out of the way, channel thing out of the way. Special thanks, as always, to my ever-contributing subscribers and my dear friends who have helped keep the channel up. Special thanks to Goku, special thanks to Forget-Me-Not, and to Bear Beater and to David. Because without y'all, this channel would not be here right now, because I would have given up this dream a long-ass time ago. I appreciate your continued support, and any new people who might like and subscribe and all that. Welcome to the club, y'all. I hope I didn't alienate some of my numbers by coming out here and talking like I do, but if you like me, I hope you like me for who I am. And if you don't like me for who I am, well, cool. Fuck you too, friend. But I hope you find happiness out there. At the end of the day, even if we're fuck off from each other, I hope you find happiness, I hope you stay warm, and I hope you do well. Endure and survive, friends. See you next time. I probably won't do another one of these long streams for a bit, but I am going to try to upload shorts every day. Right now I'm about to go back into the studio and make some more fun artwork. And if I can figure out how the hell OBS works, maybe get y'all some fun League of Legends videos or something. I don't know. I don't play ranked, so they're never going to pay me for the game. Y'all be good, and again, I thank you. Endure and survive, friends. The day will come soon that we are free. Y'all be good now.